Q&A time on the CU podcast. Let's do the first one, not the second one. Say the second one.
We'll save the sec.
Ian's choice. What do you want?
Yeah, we'll do the first one.
All right, this is from at Nitro Banks. Leo, thoughts on Comcast opening up an eSports exclusive stadium in South Philly? Wow. So this would be the first one in the U.S. dedicated to eSports. First stadium built.
I think by nature of being the first one,
it's Comcast spending $50 million.
Right.
So they have some investment.
The Comcast Spectacor.
Comcast can go eat me, by the way. They're the worst cable company ever.
Yeah.
The Fusion Arena. It's gonna be called?
Fusion Arena.
Okay.
So it's a $50 million project, 3,500 seat arena, walking distance of the line, Citizens Bank, Wells Fargo Center, so easily accessible by mass transportation. I think this has the potential to be something just because as of right now, it's the only standalone one in the U.S. And if I'm not mistaken, I thought Philly had a good Overwatch team, but I could be...
the Philadelphia Fusion, they're called.
Okay. So I'm pretty sure they're supposed to be pretty good. I could see it... this is not something that I think can take off cross-country. But I think in cities...
No, there's not enough for each city to have one.
Right, exactly. But for a place that's well-built that they could fly to and have championships, they might, this could
destination.
This could be a destination.
An esports destination.
Yeah, right.
They have in Vegas, they've built not its own structure, but they have a little arena inside. At one of the casinos, I forget what it is off the top of my head. I talked about it with Kevin Lieber a while back.
Oh, Kevin.
But they have it in Vegas, but it's not its own structure. That's a lot different than saying renting out part of a place.
But this... they could use it as a home for tournament finals or something like that. I could see this definitely becoming a destination, a city that has a popular team. They could do a lot of filming there. I definitely don't think any country can support many of these, but I do think that there is a potential market there for one, two. Put 4 of them in corners of the U.S. and let those be your main areas.
I just think it's interesting that, I guess Comcast must have investment in the Overwatch League or some of these teams. I don't know. They must, though, to do this. Oh, they own Fusion. They own the team.
Oh, okay.
That makes sense.
There it is.
Okay, and it's going to cost $50 million. That ain't a lot for an arena. This is a small arena. That's not a lot of money.
It's only $3,500.
What?
3 million or 3,500 seats.
Yes, that's a small ass arena. This is the only thing you could do for this. You can't have a basketball team.
G League
set up here. G League.
We can maybe get some G League ball going.
Set it up for there. Maybe make a small boxing fight.
Yeah, underground.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, usually they're that small.
But I do think I mean.
I just think it's funny because I actually watched Overwatch League the past weekend on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up, and you actually kind of enjoyed it.
I somewhat enjoyed it. I could kind of almost know what was happening because the thing about like a MOBA, I can't see I just couldn't see what's going on overhead. I just can't.
Sure.
They have like of course, Unreal Tournament came out of it. In Overwatch League, they have like a assault type level where you have an objective, like push the tank or whatever to the objective. Yeah. So you can follow it, and the team mostly stays together.
Yeah.
So it's not like watching. I tried watching not Call of Duty. Fucking, the hell is it called? Not Call of Duty. What's the original realistic shooting fucking game? God,
Rainbow Six.
No, not Rainbow Six. The offshoot one. I've tried watching. God, I can't. I'm so agitated.
Oh,
I can't think of anything anymore.
Counter-Strike.
I've tried watching Counter-Strike esports. You can't follow it because everyone's splintered off for the most part, and you're watching one person shoot. It looks like trash on TV. With Overwatch, they do switch to individuals, but most of the action is happening as a group. You can follow kind of what's happening, even though it's so fast and there's so many different characters, different powers. You can sort of say, okay, here's like the tank guys, here are the individual guys. They're helping their teammates. You can see like the maps they're structured. The maps are structured for strategery, where it's like, okay, there's choke points and there's high and low points, so you can kind of follow the action, especially when they pull out and have like the spectator camera.
Yeah.
So it was interesting. Now, could I say I knew exactly what was going on? No, I couldn't. And the commentators
But you could probably pick it up if you watched it a little bit.
The commentators had to do a better job explaining still what the different powers were and what the different
Like
specials
the alts
were
and stuff, and what each character can
yeah,
do
like I can
specially.
follow the alts on the individual screens, but like, okay, what the gravity power that like pulled everything in? How often do you get that? Who's using it?
Zarya, and all those are built up over time.
Yeah, like that. There wasn't a good job explaining like when they were going to happen. When was a good spot for doing it? That stuff. But I could follow it, which is good. Like that means there's potential.
Yeah.
If I could follow it, not having any experience with Overwatch. I also though watched the Madden League, like the finals of that, and it was Philadelphia versus the Giants. But they draft them. They draft the players from like constructed players and custom guys and from Legends. But it's 4 or 5 minute quarters. There's only like 3 possessions per team. It's pretty much you got to score almost every possession or stop the person. It was interesting. You don't punt the ball really because like if you punt, you're basically giving the other team a chance to score. Like there's so limited amount of possessions per team that you really have to go for it in 4 down. I saw 1 punt in the game only.
You're only allowed a certain number of possessions.
No, it's only 5 minute quarters.
Oh, gotcha. Sure, got it.
So that play clock runs down.
No, I understand.
So that's
Yes,
like 10. It's only like 10 plays a quarter potentially. Right. You know, it's not that much, or maybe 12 or 15 but it's not like a traditional game. But it was interesting to watch. Obviously, you can follow a football game, so that was interesting. And the commentators did a good job explaining some of the plays. There's a lot of audibles in that. But here's the thing: is that I still think that esports is going to grow a little bit. It's not going to be like other parts of the world, but it's going to grow. I don't think it's ever going to catch fire as much as other parts of the country. I should the world. I just don't.
We'll see. I don't think it's gonna get that big. I think part of the problem. I mean, one of the problems is America's big. The United States is big. It's
a lot of different geographic.
It's tough to get stuff like that. I would think up off the ground when everyone's so far apart.
You need a team in every region. So it's like traditional sports leagues start with like 8 teams, 6 teams, 10 teams. Like MLS still has only 10 teams only, and they haven't expanded that much. Is it even 12 teams? But you have to have different regions. Like it took a while for the NHL to build up across the U.S. and some people think it's overexpanded still. You know, basketball isn't everywhere in the U.S. and that's the large. It's a sport on the rise the most. So unless you have a reason to have a local team to follow, it might be tough. Like when I'm watching these, I'm like, well, if there was a San Diego team, I guess I'd root for them. But what's the point of having these teams in these locations? Obviously, these people are based there, but I don't see the need to follow the local teams. That makes sense. So this is a whole different dynamic than like when you have a local sports team, they have to play locally. When you have these teams, they can play wherever the tournament is. So they're not going to have home games, so to speak. A San Diego team's not going to have a home esports game.
Right.
So it's a different dynamic. But it's interesting. I like the Overwatch. I like the team stuff.
Overwatch is fun.
I like the idea of it. I gotta play it at some point.
Overwatch is nice too because it's also fucking bright and colorful, and it's
not Zach's not a grimdark shooter.
It's not super dingy.
You know it's bright a little bit. Unreal Tournament. I'm not gonna say they were inspired, but I'm not gonna say it.